Hello, one and all present here. My name is Amit Kumar Singh, and welcome to the second class on investment management. So, if you remember what we did in the first class, basically we have understood the reason for investment because we are studying this subject called investment management. So, it is very important for us to understand why we should invest, what is the reason why we should invest our money. Maybe Sanjay is the richest person of Bangalore, then why the Sanjay should invest his money? Because he's the richest person. So investment earning 5-6% return, will that make any sense to the Sanjay or not? Even then Sanjay is the richest person. So I mentioned the reason why anyone should invest their money, because the first and foremost reason, even then you are the richest person, is that you have to beat the inflation cost, because economically the value of your money will go down as the time will progress. So you need to make sure that even then you don't have any supply demand problem, but even then you should invest your money to beat the inflation. Then whenever you talk about investment, is that we invest our money whenever we have certain or we have certain financial expectation about ourselves in the future. So in order to make sure that we get our financial objective, we look for investment so that we can shorten our struggle to get our desired goal. And the third reason for doing investment is probably is the contingency or emergency, like the epidemic like situation what we are facing right now. If suddenly if it come to anyone future, then how you can make sure your family, your generation will be protected, financially protected from all these reasons. So because these are the primary reason why we should invest our money. So basically, if we try to invest our money, we can either invest our money in physical or we can invest our money in financial assets. Okay, physical assets like gold. So in India, whenever we talk about physical assets, we all are very aggressive. We all are very bullish on commodity like gold. We Indians always believe that the gold price will never fall down. So at this corona epidemic time also, if you see the gold price, gold price is around 53,000 rupees per 10 gram. Once it went to 59 also, now it is trading around 53, 52,000 rupees per 10 gram. So because right now you need to understand that gold market, when you see commodity market, I should better use the word commodity. In India, commodity means gold, means because majority of commodity trading is done in gold only. So you need to understand that the commodity market is inversely populated. It's inversely proportional to the currency market or equity market, because you know that when you talk about currency, currency is the representation of economy, and stock market represents economy. So stock market and currency market, they moves in the same line. Like so if when everything is doing well, if there's a enough demand is there about the product in the market, if happening in the economy, if everything is happening good in the economy, the stock market will perform well. Stock market will perform well, then your economy is performing well, then automatically your currency is performing well. So stock market and currency market both are proportional, but they are inversely proportional to the commodity market. Because normally whenever the stock market is performing well, then majority of your investment you will on stocks, and you believe that stock will do better. But suddenly when you see not good momentum in the stock market, then everyone will start rush to put their money in gold. So right now, because stock market is not performing well, so you see a huge uptrend in the currency, in huge uptrend in the commodity market, and that's why you see the gold price, why the gold price is increasing so much. If I show you the price of gold, if I show you the price of gold, if you see the graph of the price, you can see this graph. You can see this. Okay, so you can see this price of gold. Now, right now, the gold is around 53,000 rupees, or 53,400 you can see. So it went till 50, it went till around, before August it was somewhere around 50, 55, 56. Now it is around, it is still around 53,000 rupees. Okay. 1 year before, if I remember, it was around 43, 44. So much momentum is happening in gold market, and this momentum, what you see in the gold market, this momentum is only because there's a downtrend in the equity market or the currency market. Okay, so if you see Nifty or Sensex, they are struggling. So Sensex is struggling around 39,500. Nifty is struggling around 11,500 and all. So we'll understand what that value and all means. We'll understand that in future. What is Sensex, what is Nifty, we'll understand them. But primarily, I hope you're understanding the contention here. Like whenever we see investment, where we can put our money. So we can put our money either on physical assets, or we can put our money on financial assets. Now, looking for the kind of return what you get from the investment product. Either you get a risk-free return, or either you get risky returns. The risk-free returns are those returns which are guaranteed. Return where the value does not change, like bank FD. So bank FD, whatever the bank promise you for the FD, that FD rate of return never get changed. Okay, so a bank FD or public provident fund or national savings certificate or Kisan Vikas Patra. So if you put your money in these products of post office, or if you do invest your money in PPF, public provident fund, so you will get around 8% return. Okay, so like your people also can invest. You can start right now also. It's not like you need some time, or when you start earning, then well you can invest. You can right now. I believe you must be in your hometown. So whenever you get time, you can go to any bank and ask for opening of PPF account. So even with a small amount of 500 rupees, you can open a PPF account. Okay, and like the life of the PPF is around 15 financial year. National Saving Certificate, Kisan Vikas Patra, that is around 6 years. So you can whatever the money you can save, you can put in the PPF, and then gradually it would helpful for you in the future, and that way you will improve your civil score also. So that it is very important for us to have very good civil score. CIBIL stand for, what is CIBIL? CIBIL stand for Credit Information Bureau Limited. Information of Credit Information Bureau. Spelling can be wrong. So let me just show you the full form of CIBIL. So what is the full form of CIBIL? CIBIL full form, if I show you. So CIBIL is very important. Uh, Credit Information Bureau Limited. Bureau spelling is BUREAU. So Credit Information Bureau Limited. You can, so civil is very important, that you should have a very good civil score. What is civil? BUREAU. BUR. So this is BUREAU. So it's very important. You need to have very good civil score. So because the moment you have your PAN number, I believe everyone has a PAN number. So the moment you have your you have opened PAN account, a permanent account number with Government of India. So after that, your financial transactions will be recorded. It's not about your financial transactions, like your whole family financial transaction is will be recorded. So what all kinds of financial transactions you will do, either with the bank, either with insurance company, or either with credit card company. Everything is going to be recorded year on year basis. Then that's why it is ideal that once you open your pen account, you should also file income tax also. Every individual have a score, that is CIBIL score, depending upon the credit history you maintain with the banking institution in our country. Okay, and that credit score is being considered tomorrow whenever you apply for any kind of financial instruments like credit card or loan, you or your family member. And then it is very important that every individual should have good civil score to have a healthy relation with the Indian banking institutions. Okay, so that's why so more you know about them, it would be good for you. So, so as an individual, that's why I told you you can open PPF account and gradually something you will save because you know the kind of futures what we are seeing right now. So we are seeing worst of worst time right now in the present era. So we need to prepare for our future also. So gradually, as you understand that whenever you do investment, you can invest on physical assets or you can invest on financial assets. Whenever you talk about investment, returns in some assets are guaranteed. In some returns, some assets are not guaranteed. Assets where your returns are guaranteed, those assets are called risk-free asset. Risk-free asset means whatever return they'll promise you, they'll give you. So in the case of risk-free assets, the return does not change. But in the case of risky assets, the returns will get changed. Risky assets like mutual fund, stock market, there the returns will get changed. Okay, so you get return depending upon the market performance. Okay, so you can if you want to know about mutual fund, the best website to know about mutual fund is Value Research, the very good website on mutual fund. The person who runs this website is Dhiren Kumar. He is the person who knows the maximum about mutual fund in our country. So Value Research Online.com. So, yeah, Value Research Online. So if you know about mutual fund, if you want to know about mutual fund, you can invest on, sorry, not invest on, you can, uh, so you can go to this website called valueresearchonline.com. It is very good website to know about mutual fund. So what is mutual fund? Whenever we in this subject called investment management, we'll study about mutual fund, why in the case of mutual fund, why it is written in the mutual fund ad always that mutual funds are subject to market risk. Please read the offer document before investment. All that, what that mean, what is market risk. You need to understand how mutual funds are different from the stock market investment. Okay, so all this you will understand more. This So you all this you will understand more once you start understanding mutual fund. So once you start understanding mutual fund, more you get knowledge you will get from them. If you want to know about mutual funds, how mutual funds are different from stock market, what is active investment, what is passive investment, all that you will understand from this. Or there's a website called EasyMF. So you can go to this website called EasyMF to know about mutual fund, what is happening in mutual fund. All that you can know about mutual funds from this website called EGNF, or you can go to valueresearchonline.com. Both are very good websites whenever you want to know about mutual funds. So the assets where you can do investment, those assets can be risky assets or those assets can be risk-free assets. Okay, so more or less I believe you have a knowledge about the different investment product available with you. Okay, more or less I believe everyone have knowledge about the investment products, and whenever we talk about investment, we do investment whenever or wherever we talk about investment. We do calculation of return from the investment by following a simple formula, by following a very simple formula of compound interest. So the basic formula of compound interest, that is amount is equal to principal 1 plus r by 100 to the power t. The same formula we use for calculation of return whenever we calculate our return in the case of any form of investment. This is the basic formula you use to calculate your future value, or you can to calculate your present value. This is the basic formula. Everyone understands this formula very well. Okay, so gradually you have a knowledge about what investment is all about. You understood what are physical assets, what are financial assets. You understood what are risk-free assets, what are risky assets. Okay, we'll go more into risky assets. We whenever we talk about risky assets, whenever I talk about risky assets, whenever I talk about risky assets, I give you an example of stock market. I give you an example of stock market or mutual funds. So now it is important for you to understand what stock market is all about. You need to understand what is stock market. Okay, you need to understand what is Nifty, what is Sensex. If I ask what is Nifty, what is Sensex, okay, so what are these values? What is Sensex is all about? So today Nifty is around 11,500 something. Okay, Nifty is around 11,500. So what did it mean? So we need to understand what is stock market, what is mutual funds, okay, what is NAV in mutual fund. There's a term called NAV, net asset value. So why these terms are important for us? That's why we have this subject. That's why we are studying this subject called investment management. So the reason is to understand something which is very common around us. Okay, so it's something we need to very interested to know that what stock market is all about. I believe to make you motivated for stock market, you can read about Harshad Mehta. You can read about who was Harshad Mehta, who was Ketan Parekh, who was Harshad Mehta, who was Ketan Parekh. Read about them. There's a novel which is written for them that is called The Scam. There's a novel which is written for them called Scam. So you can read this novel, or there's a movie also in Hindi called Gotala or Ghapla. There's a movie in Hindi. If you understand Hindi, you can watch this movie called Ghapla. So Ghapla is a Hindi movie which talked about the life of Harshad Mehta. Now, very soon there's a movie is also coming on Harshad Mehta called Big Bull. Harshad, like Abhishek Bachchan is gonna become the person who will represent Harshad Mehta. So Harshad Mehta was called as the Big Bull of Indian market around 1990s. So he was such a big person. If you type in YouTube about Harshad Mehta, you'll get lot of information about Harshad Mehta. Harshad Mehta was followed by Ketan Parekh. So Ketan Parekh was the intern under Harshad Mehta. He did his internship under Harshad Mehta, and after Harshad Mehta went to jail, then Ketan Parekh again he did scam like what Harshad Mehta did. So both these scams were different. Ketan Parekh was CA by profession. He was chartered accountant, and so you can if you whenever you get time, try to get information about Harshad Mehta and Ketan Parekh. So that way you will be what you say. You will start liking stock market. You will get some motivational push to know more about stock market. So whenever I am trying to teach you what stock market is all about. So before I tell you what stock market is all about, before that, I need to tell you the story of how the stock market starts. So for that, you need to understand a term called IPO. So for that, you need to understand a term called IPO. So IPO stands for Initial Public Offering. That is called as IPO. So, what is IPO? What is how IPO is different from FPO? FPO stand for follow-on public offering. What is right issue? What is private placements? What is preferential allotment? All these terms I have started yesterday. So I give you basic knowledge what these terms are all about. Okay, so if I hope you remember what we had done in yesterday class. So you need to understand everything very sequentially, how and why it happens. Okay, that is a very important reason how and why this happens. So you need to understand why this happens. First thing, let me talk about why this happened. What is this IPO is all about? So before we understand what IPO is all about, we need to understand what is equity. We need to understand what is debt. So in our BCom, in our PU plus two, we have studied that whenever a company has the requirement of money, so that company can raise that money either by equity or the company raise the money by debt. Okay, debt is all about borrowing. Whenever you talk about debt, ownership is never transferred in the case of debt. You borrow money with an obligation that you will pay back the money in the future. Okay, with certain value added. That value added is called as interest. So you understand what debt is all about. Talking about equity, in the case of equity, a company has to give a part of their ownership to the other individual. They have to make others the owner of their owner of their company. What is company? For that we need to understand Companies Act of 2002. So when I talk about a company, and I'm trying to give the certain part of my ownership to certain other individual, for the reason why they can give me some amount of money. So that form of raising money is called as equity. So equity is all about raising fund from the market, in which you give your ownership. You give certain percentage of your ownership. Okay, so like you start a company, you have an idea about something, and for that you are starting a company. So if you are starting a company, you need money. So if you put your own money, then it is the example of sole proprietorship and all. Or what you can do, you started the company, but you need funding. For that funding, to different you go to different what you say fund managers. Bangalore is known for funding. So Bangalore is the place where the maximum startup happens. So whenever the startups happen, the startups need money. So they go to different venture capitalists, and they tell about their project to them, and if they like your project, they will invest on your project. So like that way you can raise money privately from certain individuals. That is called private placement. Privately from individual or from bank, like that you can raise money. That is called private placement. Okay, so the thing is that if you are trying to raise money, if you are trying to raise money from more than 50 people, 50, okay, I want to know. So if you are trying to raise money from more than 50 people, or if you are trying to raise money more than right now that amount is 50 lakh rupees, before it was 10 lakh. So if you are trying to raise money from more than 50 people, or worth more than 50 lakh rupees from the market, then automatically the way you are raising money, that cannot be a private issue. Okay, so privately you can raise money from certain individuals or certain institutions. Like that way you can raise money, make them the owner of your company. Such owner means give certain part of ownership to them, and that way you get the money from them. So that is the one way to get the money. The other way is that you need to understand, if you target more than 50 people, or if you target more than 10, 50 lakh rupees from the market, automatically that issue become a public issue. Okay, the lot of other information is also there. If you go to SEBI website to understand what are the conditions before which a company should be allowed to come up with an IPO, that they from last 3 years, they see all the SEBI will see all the details of the company. The company annual turnover should be like this much. All that information is there. So that accounting part, I'm not going much into the accounting part. Under what conditions the company is allowed to, like accounting performance, so that they can be allowed for an IPO. I'm not going much into that part. You can read from yourself. So I'll take more financial part for that. So whenever a company, private company I'm talking about. So whenever a private company, if they target more than 50 people, or if they target more than 50 lakh rupees from the market, automatically that issue become a public issue. More than 50 people means now you are uh, taking money from public. So if you do issue, first time if you do a public issue, then this public issue is called as IPO, initial public offering. So whenever we hear the term called IPO, initial public offering, it basically means a company is raising money from the public. Okay, so if a company is raising money from the public, then automatically that company become liable to the public. Okay, once you took money from the public, it's not like you took money from the public and you can run away. Okay, so if you have taken money from the public, then you have to justify your reason why you want that money. Okay, you understanding? No, so you understand it, right? So whenever a company is trying to raise money from public in the form of IPO, so whenever a company is doing all this, so the market where they can do all this, that market is called as primary market. So there's a term is given whenever like you try to raise money through IPO, FPO, right issue like this, whenever a company is raising money. So this is basically called as primary market. So from primary market, from a primary market, this is called as primary market. So from a primary market, so from a primary market, a company can raise money. Okay. So whenever a company is raising money, and the first, this is the first time the company is asking money from the public. So now the company is liable to the public. Okay, now the company is liable to the public, and now the company need to make sure that whatever the money they are taking from the public, they cannot run away from that money. So they have to make sure that they have to tell to the public that what they are going to do with that money, how that money is going to help those people who are investing in this investment. All that information they have to tell to the public, and then once that information is being given to the public, otherwise if the public have a faith on that company, then public can invest their money in that company, and in future also the public can stay invested with their investment. So all that is very important for the public to make sure. So IPO is basically the first time when a private company is raising money from the public. So automatically, because of IPO, the company has to transform their ownership pattern. The company has to transform their ownership pattern from private company to a public company. So because the company is raising money from more than 50 people, or of worth more than 50 lakh rupees for the market, so automatically they have to transform themselves. They have to transform themselves from a private company to a public company. And once you become public company, then you have to follow corporate governance. Once you become a public company, you have to follow corporate governance norms and regulation. Okay, and then the way you function as a private company is totally different the way you're going to function as a public company, because once you took money from public, now you are liable to the public. Now public are the owner of your company. Once public are the owner of your company, it means that public should be given every information about what you are doing. Okay, every quarterly you need to audit your book of account from external auditor, and then you need to publish your quarterly result to the public. Public can see your performance in the market, how you have done in last 3 months. Okay, then every quarterly, every half yearly, every annually, you have to keep publishing your information to the public, because you are a public company. So annual report, after the end of 1 year, you need to tell to the public what you have done in last 1 year. You have to show your balance sheet, profit and loss statement, cash flow statement, fund flow statement to the public, so that public can understand what you are doing actually. So everything you are liable to the public. Publics are represented by board of directors. Certain in board of directors are independent, certain board of directors are dependent, to make sure the public interest should never put on toss. And the moment whenever a company become a public company, they come under the purview of the SEBI. So SEBI stand for Securities Exchange Board of India. So that is SEBI. So all public companies comes under the purview of SEBI. The current chairman of SEBI is Ajay Tyagi. You should know about what SEBI is all about. So SEBI was created under Section 3 of SEBI Act of 1992 to strengthen the stock market, to strengthen the capital market in a country. For that reason, only the SEBI was being formulated. Okay, in US, the like SEBI, the body name is SEC. In US, the body which functions like a SEBI, that name is SEC. SEC means Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay, like the way we have RBI in our country, in USA they have Federal Reserve. Okay, so like the same way, like we have SEBI in our country, like in US, there's a SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay, so you need to understand the reason why IPO becomes such an important tool. Why IPO is such an important tool? Because first time you are transforming yourself from a private company to a public company. So because you are transforming yourself from a private company to the public company, so you are liable to the public. And whenever a company want to do IPO, whenever a company is doing IPO, so what the company need to do, whenever a private company is doing an IPO, they need to appoint a financial house that is called merchant banker. They need to appoint a financial house. We call them as a merchant banker. The other name for them is called underwriter. So because see, or the other name is called BRLM, book running lead manager. Book running lead manager. Book running lead manager. Their name is BRLM. So this came for exam also. I don't know which year I saw this question about the IPO. What is merchant banker? What is the role of underwriter in the IPO process? So whatever I'm going to tell you now, everything you have to write today class. That one question will come based theory part. What is the role of underwriter in the IPO? So all that you need to write everything. So like if you understand like you know about event management company, no, how the event management company help you tomorrow in your marriage. Okay, suppose you want to do marriage in Bangalore and you are a very rich person. Okay, so suppose Karthik want to do his marriage, and maybe he want to do his marriage in very big Kalyan Mandapa house. So Karthik want to do marriage, but Karthik want to know about how he can do, because it will be little bit difficult, because the kind of traffic what Bangalore have and lot of other things, arranging everything is very difficult. So what the Karthik can do for his marriage, Karthik can hire some event management company which will do everything for Karthik. Karthik just need to pay money to them. They will take care of everything for Karthik. Okay, like the same way, whenever a company want to do IPO, so they don't have financial knowledge about all the due diligence homework what they have to do for the IPO. So that all that homework is done by third party. That third party is called merchant banker, or you can call them an underwriter, or you can call them as a book running lead manager. Okay, so what they do, merchant banker or underwriter, book running lead manager, what they do. So the first step, what they do, first thing what they do the valuation of the company. So the first thing what they do when you appoint the merchant banker or underwriter or book running lead manager, what is the first thing they do? They will do the valuation of your company. Okay, they will try to calculate what is the value of your company. Okay, what is the worth of your company. Okay, so there are different methods are there for valuation. FCFE method, free cash flow to equity method, or different methods of valuation is there. I believe last semester you studied there is a subject of corporate valuation. So different methods are there of how a company can do valuation. So what the merchant banker do, the first thing they do is that they do the valuation of your company. Okay, they calculate the total tangible, intangible assets what you have. The sum total of that gives the total value of your company. Okay, so let the value of a company, suppose there's a company, so let the value of let the value of XYZ company, maybe XYZ want to do IPO, suppose let the value of that company is 100 crore. Okay, so first thing what the book running lead manager or merchant banker or underwriter do, they do the valuation of the companies. For example, suppose there's a company called XYZ which is coming with an IPO, so the value of that company is 100 crore. Now the next thing what they will ask to the company, what is your fund requirement? Next thing they'll ask to the company, what is your fund requirement? Okay, how much money you want? So let the fund requirement, let the fund requirement, suppose 10 crore rupees. Okay, just for your knowledge, just not knowledge, just for your what is the basic understanding. First thing they do the valuation of the company. They try to understand what is the total value of the company. Then the next thing they'll try to understand what is the requirement. Okay, so once they understand what is the requirement, so based on that, then the third thing what they will determine, the percentage of ownership. They will determine the percentage of ownership. They will determine the percentage of ownership which is being diluted, in IPO, which is being diluted IPO. So then the next thing what they'll do, they'll determine the percentage of ownership what is being diluted in the IPO. So the percentage of ownership which is being diluted in the IPO, that is equal to the fund requirement. That is nothing but so that is basically the fund requirement divided by the total value of the company into 100. Okay. So if you understand here, if you see this company has, suppose this company has a total value called 100 crore and they need 10 crore rupees from the market, it means this company has to dilute how much percentage? How much percentage they have to dilute? They have to dilute 10% of their ownership. Okay, so once they understood how much percentage of ownership they need to dilute and they know the reason, you are coming with an IPO, no? So if you are coming with an IPO, definitely you have a requirement of money. So that's why you are coming with an IPO. Otherwise, why would you come with an IPO? So you're coming with an IPO, you have some certain requirement of money. Okay, and suppose as per the calculation, you want to dilute 10% of your ownership, that is equal to 10 crore. So this dilution, whenever this dilution happens, you understand everything nowadays. uh, Everything happens in dematerialized mode, no paper and all. So what you do, you want money from the public, you want 10 crore rupees from the public. That's why you're coming with an IPO. And once you take that money from the public, you give ownership to the public now. So once you understood that what percentage of ownership you need to dilute, that percentage of ownership what you are diluting, so this percentage of ownership what you're diluting, this you will dilute, this percentage of ownership what you dilute, this you do in the form of discrete unit of ownership. This ownership, you will dilute your ownership, you will make other the owner of your company. To get the money from the public, you give money, I'll give you ownership. You give money, I'll give you the ownership. So you're sitting on a shop and you're giving your ownership to the other person, and the other person is giving you money. Now this ownership what you're giving, this ownership is you'll give in dematerialized mode. This ownership you will give in dematerialized mode. Dematerialized mode means no paper. So this discrete unit of ownership what you will give in dematerialized mode, this is called a share. Okay, this is called a share. So share is, what is share? Share means per unit ownership of your company. which you dilute at the time of public issue. So the per unit ownership of your company, what you dilute at the time of public issue, that is called a share. Okay, now the company, you understood what is the fund requirement of the company. You understood what is the fund requirement of the company. This fund requirement of the company, you know that the company, the company need 10 crore rupees. You know that the company need 10 crore rupees. So now once you understood the company need 10 crore rupees, then you need to understand how many number of shares they can dilute, how many number of shares they can dilute, how many number of shares they can dilute. So imagine if they dilute 10 crore share, then if they dilute 10 crore share, then the price of one share will be 1 rupee. Okay, you understand it. So if you dilute 100 crore share, then the price of one share will be 10 paisa. Okay, so if you dilute suppose 10 lakh share, then the price of one share will be how much? 10 lakh. So then the price of one share will be 100 rupees. So now you understood that you need 10 crore rupees from the market. Now the next thing which come in your mind, these are all an example I'm giving. Next thing what comes in your mind, how many shares you should dilute. Next thing, what not your mind, means the mind of the merchant banker will come, that how many numbers of shares they can dilute. If they dilute more number of shares, then automatically the price of one share will be less. If they dilute less number of shares, automatically the price of one share will be more. Okay, so so these all is the homework what the merchant banker is doing. First they did the valuation of the company, then they ask to the company what is your fund requirement. Then based upon that they will determine what is the percentage of ownership they need to dilute in the time of ownership. Once they understood the percentage of ownership, what they need to dilute at the time of IPO, once they understood that the percentage of ownership, what they have to dilute time of IPO, then they need to understand be the pricing of an IPO. What should be the pricing of an IPO? So what should be the price of an IPO? So whenever a company is doing with an IPO, coming with an IPO, either they will follow fixed price methodology, either they will follow fixed price methodology to do the pricing part, or they will follow book building method. So whenever is company is coming with an IPO, whenever a company is coming with an IPO, whenever a company is coming with an IPO, once to decide the pricing for the IPO, they either follow fixed price methodology. So in fixed price methodology, they will tell to the public that at what would be the price of one share. Like suppose the price of one share is suppose 10 rupees, and I'm going to dilute suppose 1 crore share in the market. So thereby I'll get my fund. So thereby I'll get 10 crore rupees from the market. So this is called fixed price methodology. So in the case of fixed, normally banks do fixed price methodology. So in the case of fixed price methodology, they'll mention what would be the price of one share and how many number of shares they're going to dilute, and ultimately how much money they're going to release. So that part they'll clear here. But then the next step, which is more common whenever the IPO happens, is called book building method. So whenever we talk about book building method, it follows a price discovery mechanism where the company do not disclose the price at which they are coming with an IPO. So in the case of book building method, a company follow either French auction, or they follow a Dutch auction when they are coming with a book building method. So they will follow either French auction or they will either follow Dutch auction whenever they're coming with an IPO. So in the case of Dutch auction, they'll give you a price band. In the case of Dutch auction, they'll give you a price band, like price band of Dutch price band of suppose 8 to 12 rupees, something like this. So between 8 to 12 rupees, you can put any price. Okay, so there the lowest price is called as floor price, and the upper price is called as cap price. Okay, so in the case of Dutch auction, they'll give a price band. So within this price band, you can put any price. Okay, so where the difference between floor and cap, it should not, the difference between them, it should not be more than 20%. Okay, so the difference between floor and cap should not be more than 20%. So if you're putting floor as 100, so cap cannot be more than 120. Okay, so in the case of Dutch auction, they give a price band. Within this price band, you while when the IPO happens, you can put any value for the bidding purpose. While in the French auction, they only give the floor price. So above floor price, there is no cap price. So above floor price, you can put any amount for the bidding purpose. Okay. So normally, so book building method, what a book running lead manager or merchant banker try to do, they try to discover the price. They try to understand how much investors are motivated to be the part of this IPO process. Okay, so that they'll try to gain from that. Okay, that part they'll try to gain from this. So in the case of French auction and Dutch auction, normally in the form of book building method. So all this calculation, the what this merchant banker do, all this calculation, what all I told you, all this calculation, what all I told you, all these steps, the merchant banker do write all these things in very nice document before they come with an IPO. What the merchant banker do, they come up with very good document. In that document, they request SEBI, to allow them to come up with an IPO. So that is called as draft offer document. So every company which come with an IPO, so the merchant banker of that company need to submit a draft of offer document before 30 days of an IPO. So before 30 days of an IPO, before 30 days of an IPO, a merchant banker of a company has to submit draft offer document. It is like a prospectus. It's somewhat similar to prospectus something. But it's like a booklet where all information should be there. Why the company is coming with an IPO, what they'll do with that money, how that will how that will be good for the investor, then how they will do this process, everything step by step, everything they need to mention, and then that information they have to submit to the SEBI before 30 days of an IPO. If SEBI gives a green signal, then for investors, then for an investor, what they can do, they can publish a red herring prospectus red herring prospectus or offer document for an investor, which they can read before they invest their money in the IPO. Okay, this draft offer document, once SEBI give them signal, then when SEBI feel everything's okay, then so before 21 days of an IPO, before 21 days of an IPO, they put this on public information in the SEBI website. So if you go to the SEBI website, you can put comment of this IPO on the SEBI website. For the general public opinion, they put this on the SEBI website that XYZ company is coming with an IPO, and this was the draft offer document of the company, and what they're going to do with that, everything will be clear, and they'll put that in the public domain so that the public can read about that company before 21 days of the IPO. So all the due diligence work, all the paperwork need to be done by the merchant banker. Uh, they have to follow certain step by step mathematical calculation about how they want this IPO to be. So what would be the price band, everything they'll mention. If you read newspaper, all information about the IPO will be given to you. They'll mention the time duration when this IPO is gonna happen to you. So normally the IPO runs for 3 to 10 days. Okay, normally in India, all IPOs are basically 3 days only. Although as per the CB, it should be maximum 10 days, but normally all the IPOs normally run for maximum 3 days. Now we live in the online world. So if you go to the website of NSE, So NSE have this facility called NEET IPO segment. This online you can bid for an IPO. So the online framework, online infrastructure framework of NSE is NEET, National Exchange for Automated Trading. So there you can bid for the IPO. So so whenever the IPO normally happens, basically the investors who bid in the IPO, they can be of three types. They can be retail investors. Normally the investors who bid in the IPO, they can be retail investor, or they can be HNI, high net worth individuals, or non-institutional investors. So the investors who bid in the IPO, they can be retail investor, or non-institutional investor, or they can be QIB, or they can be QIB. So the third form of investors who bid in the IPO, they are called as QIB. So QIB means qualified institutional buyers. Retail investors are those people who bid less than 2 lakh rupees. Those are called retail investors. So any normal individual, if he or she will bid for more than 2 lakh rupees, then you call them as a HNI, high net worth individual, or non-institutional investor. And third form of investors are basically QIB, qualified institutional buyers. So they bid in. Normally the IPO run for the 3 days. So during these 3 days time, they do bidding. They will mention the price band. Everything will be mentioned to the public, and for the time duration, and they bid in the IPO. Once the bidding get over, you need to mention your account details, because everything will happen electronically. So your money will be blocked in your account till, like, normally takes uh, 8 to 11 days. Normally takes, once the IPO get over, it will take 8 to 11 days of. Then in that 8 to 11 days, the merchant banker will determine the cutoff price, and anyone who bidded less than cutoff price will not get the share. Anyone who bidded at cutoff price or above cutoff price will get the share at the cutoff price. So once, like, IPO happen normally for 3 days. So once the IPO gets over, then it takes another 8 to 11 days, uh, where the merchant banker, with help of a registrar of a company, they decide the cutoff price, because in the case of book running lead manager, they give you the price band within which you can bid. Once the bidding process get over, it took another 8 to 11 days for them to clear, to calculate the cutoff price. And once they calculated the cutoff price, ultimately, then based upon the cutoff price, either it can be that you get the share of the company, or you will not get the share of the company. That part is being decided. So normally when you bid in an IPO, your money will get blocked. You whatever the amount, whatever the account detail you have given, the amount you have given, that as per from that, your money will be blocked from your account. This is called ASBA. ASBA stand for application. This ASBA stand for application supported by blocked amount. So application supported by the blocked amount. So that amount, whatever you mention, that money, that amount will be blocked from your account. And once, if imagine if you does not get the share, that the amount will get released. And imagine if you get the share, then only they will create what debit what comes in, credit what goes. Then they take that money from account, and they will uh, debited from your account. If you get the share, then only the money will be debited from your account, and then crediting of the share in your account, in your demat account will happen. Okay, I believe everything nowadays happen electronically, so you need to have a demat account, a dematerialized account, to invest in IPO. So from your bank account, money got debited, and then on your demat account, the shares will get credited. Okay, it normally takes 8 to 11 days for that work to happen. once this debiting and crediting of shares and money happens, when all that part get over, then normally after 5 to 6 days, the shares will be listed on the stock exchange. So once all this process get over, when this process get over, then after that the shares uh, will be listed on a stock exchange, on a stock exchange. So in India, we have basically two stock exchanges like Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. So this is called listing of share on the stock exchange. That is called a listing of shares on the stock exchange, and then we can buy or sell in the future. Then this form of market is called a secondary market. So primary market was the IPO market, where we have raised money primarily from the primary market through the IPO process, ones where we have raised money. So that was a primary market. First time the company do all this homework to get money from anyone and everyone who's interested, who is motivated. They can come and bid. This is called as IPO. Once the IPO of a company is done, and even after this IPO, maybe somewhere in the future, if the company again need money, and again the same process what I told you in IPO, if the company again do the same set of process, just to make sure that anyone and everyone who is interested, they can come and bid for the share for the company. Then the same set of process what they do, that is called as IPO, follow on public offering. IPO cannot be more than once, because if you do IPO, whenever you do IPO, you can do IPO only once only. You cannot do IPO more than once. Okay, so whenever you are doing IPO, you can do only once. But again, you need money. Again, the same set of process you follow. Then it is called as FPO, follow on public offering. So either from IPO or either from FPO, you are looking from anyone and everyone who is interested. They can come and they can bid for the share, and they will get the share if they are bidded more than the cutoff price. Okay, then they will get the share of the company. Okay, so you need to understand this. What is right issue? In the case of right issue, we don't look for new investors. In the case of right issue, we request our existing shareholder. We don't go for the new person. So in the case of right issue, we request our existing shareholder, mentioning that reason that I am XYZ company and I'm looking for this much money. So I don't want new people to come and participate in this issue. I want my existing shareholder to participate in this issue. Either you interested, either if you want, you can invest, or either if you don't want, don't invest. There's no compulsion for you. So from the existing shareholder, if you raise money, you give some part of your ownership and you raise money from them, then that is called as right issue. Okay, so I hope you understood what is right issue, what is following public offering, what is initial public offering. These are the terms. Once the IPO of the company is done, then the company need to register themselves on the stock exchanges, because stock exchange is the medium where in the future the public can come and they can buy or sell the ownership of this public company. Because I hope you understand, in the whenever I in accounts, whenever we use the word called equity, so equity follow going concern concept. Equity follow going concern concept. So going concern concept basically means that, that today Ratan Tata is running a Tata Group. Yesterday Cyrus Mistry was running the Tata Group. After the death of Ratan Tata, there will be someone else who will run the Tata Group. Okay, so a company will remain for infinite time in the future. Okay, the promoters can change, the management can change, but a company will remain for infinite time in the future. So whenever you raise money from public, whenever you give equity, equity means share, the ownership, the life of a share is infinity. So if you have given your share to the public, if you given your ownership to the public, and that ownership have infinite life, So maybe in future, if the public is not happy with your performance, if the public want to give back your ownership and they want your money, if the public is very happy with your ownership, if the public want to buy more of your ownership, so if all these things, there should be a medium where all these things can be done, and that is basically called a stock exchange. So we have Bombay Stock Exchange, we have National Stock Exchange, where you can buy or sell shares depending upon the performance of the company in the actual market, the news what comes about the company. By reading about them you can understand about the company, and if you are motivated for that you can invest, or if you're demotivated you can sell whatever you have bought. All that thing can be done. So for that you need a stock exchange. Okay, so I hope you understood the process of IPO, what this IPO is all about, how it is being done. So for exam point of view, this is very important. Today lecture is very important. All the steps for IPO, what is book building method, all this thing, if possible, read about them. Tomorrow I'll explain you these terms like green shoe option. What is green shoe option? So tomorrow I'll explain you these terms called green shoe options in an IPO, little bit more terms. So altogether, if possible, try to gain maximum information about book building method, how much you can do, try to gain that. Okay guys, so any question, anyone? Before that, let me just take the screenshot of those people who are attending today. One minute, let me take the screenshot. Okay, so anyone name if I missed? Anyone name if I missed? So who are present? Akash is there, Bhavna, Chaitanya, Divya, Gitanjali, Karthik, Mohan, Prajwal, Prakriti, Priyanka, Rakesh, then Ranjita, Sanjay, Suraj, Virendra, Yogeshwari. Okay. Any question, anyone, before I wind up the class? Anything you want to ask? Any question, anyone? Okay, guys. You'll get the recording of today and yesterday class in your group. Okay. Anyone? Anyone? Any question you want to ask? Or you can use this link. Before better than that, let me just send you the link right now. If anyone want, they can. Okay, so Prakriti, if you are looking for, you can go to this link, Prakriti, or anyone whoever want the class recording, they can use this link. Uh, Please click on this link, and you'll get all the details. Also, if you have your friends who are studying finance in Bangalore city, you can also suggest them. So I have made video for the subject called risk management and derivatives and international finance for the exam point of view. All the last 4 5 year question paper I have solved for them. So you can suggest this link to them. So I hope this can be beneficial at this corona time to everyone. So it's again your wish. If you want, you can do that. Okay, fine. So I believe you have understood what all I have done. Any question you want to ask before I wind up the class? Any question? Akash, Bhavna, Chaitanya, Divya, Geetanjali, Karthik, Mohan, Prajwal, Prakriti, Priyanka, Ranjita, Sanjay, Suraj, Viren, Yogeshwari. Any question you want to ask? Anything you want to ask before I wind up the class? Any question, anyone? So today is a festival. So my best wishes to you and your family for the festival. Sorry, I forgot the name of the festival, but from my end, very good regard to everyone, to you and your family for this festival. Okay. So wishing you and your family for this festival. So I believe now you don't have any doubt. Uh, uh, okay, so I believe you don't have any doubt. Then I'll wind up the class. Okay, guys. So see you everyone tomorrow for the class. Have a great day and keep learning. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Bye.